I'm going to share with you my favorite all-time free hack that you can do to double sales. Now this is related to your ads, but this is not about doubling your ad spend. This is actually about anything else that you can do outside of that to get double the amount of actual sales, not cost per leads and things of that nature, but actual sales from your advertising. And to make this super practical here, what we're going to do is we're actually going to go through 3 very common examples of advertising strategies and just marketing strategies in general that coaches are using to grow coaching businesses right now in 2025. And I'm going to go through the very specific way that you would utilize this to be able to get double the amount of revenue from each of these strategies in any given month. Now, if you're brand new here, I'm Shoney. I've been helping thousands of coaching businesses across almost a decade now to grow their coaching business through advertising, social media, email marketing, and funnels. But most people come to us for paid advertising. 2024 alone, we had everything from business coaches to investment coaches to fitness coaches, fiction writing coaches, even online dog trainers hit 7 figures and above inside their coaching businesses, working closely with us to scale their advertising. And the stuff that we're about to go through inside this video right here is really, really important because this is the type of stuff that we do with the individuals that we work with. We don't just give them a strategy that's going to give them a good looking ads dashboard, a good cost per lead, but we actually look at every single thing that they're doing on a weekly basis to find the best lever that we can pull to dramatically increase the outcomes of their advertising. And that's what we're going to do here with the 3 examples that we walk through. Okay, let's dive into example number 1 now. Example number 1 is going to be if you are a coach that runs conversations into calls. Now, this might be that you have a decent amount of conversations that are started with you on a daily basis. You might do outreach. You might be using boosted posts to get followers and then starting conversations afresh on the other side. You may be using a lead magnet and connecting an app that allows you to start conversations with every single person who opts in. This is a really big one that we're utilizing right now inside System to Scale, and it's amazing. But if you most commonly have a conversation with somebody back and forth, texting them, WhatsApping them, through Instagram DMs, Facebook Messenger, whatever it may be, if you're having conversations and turning them into calls directly, then this is a really, really key example for us to walk through. Because especially if you're using advertising to start these calls, if you're getting, let's say, a 3x return on your ad spend, you would be very, very tempted to double the ad spend if you want double the results. Now, by the way, it's part of the process. It's something that we do very, very often. When we have things nice and optimized, we're very often aggressively scaling with the coaches that we work with, scaling their ad spend so that we can multiply the outcomes on the other side. However, there's a free hack that you can use that can dramatically increase the outcomes also. And that is to, first of all, you have to have pinpoint data. You have to understand what's happening. You can't just say, I'm running this at $25 per day, looks like I'm getting quite a few followers and calls are higher than they usually are, so I guess it's working. Instead, you have to know how much did you spend this week? How many new followers did you get? How many messages were sent? How many conversations continued? How many calls were offered? How many links were sent? And how many people booked those calls? Okay, even better, how many people showed up? How many people bought? What was cash collected? What was the contract value? But when you have this data, the really cool thing is we can find the biggest lever to pull. So just say, for instance, that 25% of the people who come through this strategy, who you message you back. So you start, thanks for the follow, open-ended question, you start a good conversation with them, right? Let's say 25% continue that conversation. And then let's just say that from there, the amount of calls offered goes down to about 5% of the people who conversation continued. Okay, big, massive drop off right there. From the people who are offered the calls, the links get sent almost 100% of the time, and the call booking rate is 75%. Okay, so if we get a 3x return on our ad spend from those numbers right there, it would be very easy to look at what is the biggest lever that we can pull here. So we've already got 25% conversation continued rate, which is pretty decent, especially from new followers. Going on from there, if there's only 5% of people go from that step to the next step, which is a call being offered, then we need to look at that very specific point in there. Because if we wanted to double the outcomes, we need to double the results at one of these individualized steps to get double the amount of people to get to the end, okay? So just for instance, if we wanted to double the conversations continued, going from 25% to a 50% conversation continued rate is pretty difficult, okay? You're gonna have to completely change the script around, a script that by the way is already working, so you have to, you know, risk it going down rather than up and all of those things. And then you're gonna have to potentially have different audiences in general coming through as new followers, so you might have to recreate the ads to find a different audience and see if you can still achieve a good cost per new follower. There's many things that are tough there about pulling that lever. That lever is not a good lever to pull. Whereas if we can see that there is a step that has a disproportionately poor conversion rate, and that is the 5% of people that go from conversation continued to actually being offered the call, we know that that is the very weak point in the process that if we address it, we can drastically change the results. But here's the cool thing. If you were to get 10% of people who conversation continued to merely be offered the link on the other side or offered the call, you would only be going from a 5% to a 10% result, which isn't benchmark on what you're looking for, by the way. But in that case, you would be likely to double the outcome of your ad spend moving forward, because all else usually stays quite similar. When you've got a process, you've got certain volume of people come through, 20% or 25% conversation continued rate, you have a certain rate that goes to the next step, a certain percentage that go to the call being offered, a certain percentage who receive the link, a certain percentage that book the call. It's never going to be the same every single day, but you tend to find that if you're looking at things on a weekly timeline or weekly data, you tend to find that things stay pretty consistent, and your weak points will continue to be weak and the strong points continue to be strong. So in this case, what would we do if we were working with you inside your business? Well, instead of just saying double the ad spend immediately because you're getting a 3x return, and if we want to increase the revenue coming out or double the revenue coming out, we need to at least double the ad spend here. Instead of doing that first, one thing that we can do is get the conversation continued moving to the call being offered to double, to go from 5% to 10%. If we want to triple the results, to 15%. If we want to quadruple the results, get it to 20%, which is closer to the benchmark of actually what we're looking for. And in this case, what we tend to find, by the way, is that people, like we've seen it a million times, so we can usually say, this is probably what's happened. Are we right here? Can you show us some of the conversations? They've usually gone into tons of back and forth. They started coaching rather than finding out the pain points of what people are looking for and if they're looking for support or not looking for support. Instead, they're usually doing tons of back and forth coaching. So it's like, well, the reason that nobody's being offered the call is because you're not offering people the call. It's not that people are ghosting you after the conversation continued. It's that you're doing, half an hour of back and forth and you're never getting to the point of the call being offered. If the call isn't being offered, the call cannot be booked. Okay? So this is one of those examples where if you have the data on it, there's almost certainly a lever that you can pull that doesn't cost a penny that could double the outcome of the results. And we'll go into number 2 here. Okay, looking at number 2, let's talk about if you're running live masterclasses. So you do a live masterclass, it might be the same content, you run it once a month, twice a month, 4 times a month, but it's the same content every time, the same ads, to the same opt-in, to the same automated emails and SMSs, to the same presentation with the same pitch. The process should be repeatable. That's just me giving you a little bit of context for the way live masterclasses should be done in a coaching business. The way most people get it wrong is they try and do a different masterclass every single time. It takes them tons of time, energy, and effort, and they never know if the next one's going to fly or if it's going to be a complete dud. What you want is an evergreen masterclass that you can do frequently. That's what our coaches use. It's quite a heavily used process inside our coaching. I would say about 10% of the coaches that we work with. That doesn't sound like a lot, but we work with a lot of coaches, so 10% is quite a lot given the fact that we've got 36 different ad frameworks. That's a decent chunk of people using that. But live masterclasses are really, really good. And I can actually teach through an example here of finding the biggest lever that we can pull. So Cheryl, for instance, who runs live masterclasses with us. She was in private coaching. She's upgraded into systems of scale now, and it's been great. But when she runs live masterclasses, she gets somewhere between a 9 and a 12x return on her ad spend almost every single time that she does it. And when we did the last masterclass review, it was at the very start of January, to be fair, but still, her show rate to the masterclass was around 10%. Now it usually is higher, so I'm kind of using like an anomaly as an example here, but she still managed to achieve close to her 10x return on her ad spend, which has been great. But simultaneously, what we have there is a lever that can be pulled. So when we look at everything, the cost per lead from the ads, excellent. Volume coming through is excellent. The level of intent with the people who are coming through is excellent, because the people who show up most commonly book calls or reach out, and she does a lot of sales without any sales calls. And she's able to achieve consistently, and I think she's probably done like, I don't know, 12 of these now with us, something along the lines of that. Across the board, it was just over a 10x return when she took everything into account when she gave us the yearly stats in December there. So she's able to achieve that even when she has a 10% show rate. And so if the cost per lead's great, and the people opening up the emails is great, and the people who turn up are booking calls, and the people who book calls are purchasing, and we're getting a 10x return on our ad spend, is the answer to merely double the ad spend, or is it to look at the biggest lever that we can pull first? Now, I'm quite bullish with things, so I'm in the sort of camp of, if it's not like a 3x return and it's actually a 10x return, you kind of want to be problem solving two things at once. So you can double the ad spend, but you can simultaneously focus on the biggest lever you can pull to disproportionately increase the outcome, so that we can get to, you know, a 3x, a 20x return, a 30x return, a 40x return, and so on and so forth. And so with the show rates on this example, usually it's between 20 and 30%, but let's just say that this was to continue and 10% was the thing. Well, the first thing that we'd look at here is, okay, it doesn't cost us any more to focus in on improving the show rate. And if we can get the show rate from 10% to 20%, then instead of a 10x return on our ad spend, we might get a 15x or 16x or 17x or a 20x return on our ad spend instead. And so if we want the cheapest way to get disproportionate results here, it's focusing in on the one weak point, or the weakest point in the entire system that's already working, and focusing in on solving that problem. So if we want to increase show rates to live masterclasses, a couple of things that we can do is we can shorten the time frame of advertising. So for instance, if the ads are typically running for 7 days in the run up to the masterclass, we can increase the daily ad spend but only run them for 3 or 4 days, which usually means that more people show up. What we tend to find is that the further out from the masterclass that somebody puts their name down, the higher the likelihood that they won't show up, because they forget about it, all of those things. If they didn't open up some emails at the start, it might now be in their spam folder, so that can occur. Second thing we can do is we can increase the touch points in the run up to the masterclass taking place. So we can actually increase SMSs, WhatsApp messages, email marketing to encourage people to be there live. Number 3, we can have higher incentives for people to be there live. We can highlight that there's not going to be a replay and that something is going to be given away on the live to increase the amount of people that come through. Number 4, we can use something called Ad Event. So you can use Ad Event to create a link that you can put in any email. It makes it really seamless for anybody to add the event to their calendar, whether they use Outlook, Google Calendars, whatever it may be. This is a great way to increase the show rates there. And so again, this is just about taking one of your marketing systems, actually having clarity over what's happening, and looking for the weakest point and the easiest lever that you can pull to get disproportionate results. Okay, so albeit that scaling ad spend is really important, I don't want this to sound like we never encourage people to increase the ad spend, because of course we do. Albeit that we're talking about some of the easiest ways to double the revenue from any ad spend that you do have, it's also one of the quickest ways for you to grow the revenue and profitability of the business, is to double ad spend on things that are already performing at a 10x return like they do consistently for Cheryl. Okay, let's look at a third and final example here. So let's talk about remarketing funnels. Okay, so you run advertising. We run remarketing funnels as well. This is a thing that people get wrong in the coaching space all the time. They get told, especially by mentors that never taught ads, probably told people they should never use ads, but got frustrated with 90% of their mentorship saying, I think I should be running ads, I think I should be running ads, I want to run ads, organic isn't working for me, I'm spending tons of time, not getting results, I want to run ads. And so what do? They on the fly try to teach ads. And it's really, really common across mentorships where they aren't ad specialists to tell people to run advertising to complete strangers, specifically to get booked calls for your program. And so it would usually look like an ad that they click through, they go to a landing page, there's a VSL there where you talk for 10 minutes about the program and who it's right for and who it's wrong for and all that jazz. Down below, application to call. What we tend to find with that is a super high cost per book call. On top of that, very low show rates. The people who show up to the call usually have zero context for you or anything about what you do, and their likelihood of purchase is extremely low. So it's not a very, very good system, and it's not proven as something that is hyper scalable either. However, there is a place for it. There's a place for it if you're very specific. So for me personally, if people opt in to my lead magnet, so most of my advertising budget goes towards value first, like driven value first. In high skepticism markets especially, business coaching, marketing coaching, investment coaching, property coaching, as usual, camera cuts out. But yeah, in high skepticism markets, leading with value is a really, really important part of the process. Understanding low skepticism, medium skepticism, and high skepticism markets is really important to understand the right ad strategy that's right for any given coach that we work with. High skepticism markets like business coaching, marketing coaching, leading with value, showcasing what you can do for free, really proves the process of what is possible inside, more paid opportunities to work in closer capacity in a more personalized way and things of that nature. So being able to do something that most people would charge for and doing it for free is something that I've always lived by. So our Facebook ads course is absolutely dynamite. We even give away templates of proven ads. I'll put the link down below in case you want to go through it. It's completely free. But what we do is anybody who opts into that, we create an audience from that, and then we put ads in front of those people that they don't actually see for the first few days after opting in. We give them a chance to go through everything, and then we hit them with ads that encourage them to discover the private coaching and systems of scale, to go through client examples, and if they feel it's right for them, to request a one-page PDF. They don't even have to jump onto a call with us. They can literally get all the details. We're super transparent about the price, everything that's involved. If you want that PDF, I'll drop the link below as well so you can take a look at it. But that's the way that we work. So it's a really, really good model, but for remarketing purposes, it's going to be the best use of your time, so that you can get low cost per book calls. They're going to be hyper qualified, they're going to show up, and their likelihood of purchase is going to be drastically higher. Okay, so remarketing funnels and application funnels in general, they work really well. But let's just say that you are running this, and let's just say that your cost per click to landing page is really good already, right? You've got a link click-through rate above 1%, which is benchmark, by the way, which would be great. So there's nothing wrong with the ads themselves. They're doing their job of getting attention and sending people to this landing page. Then you see that 45% of the people who hit the landing page start the application process. Then you see that only 15% of the people who start the application process complete the process and book the call. When we look at the stats here, we have three things. Cost per click to get people to the page. We have, second of all, how many people start the process of filling in the application, which is currently 45%. And then we have how many people who start the application complete it, which is 15%. Well, if we've already got a really good cost per click or cost per landing page view, getting to half of that when it's already good takes trial and error that may even result in you messing things up. Okay, not the best lever we can pull. The second thing is, if we want to double the results from this or half the cost per book call, then if we have 45% of people starting the form, if we want to focus on that lever, we have to get it to 90% to double the amount of calls that come in for the same price, okay, to half the cost per book call. However, something that we can do is we can focus on where the best lever is that we can pull, which is the third and final lever, which is to get it from 15% to 30% in terms of the people who start application going to the end. And if you're using something like Typeform, it's actually pretty simple. You actually go in and first of all, you can see where the biggest drop-offs are. So you can see the questions that very specifically get people to leave. Very often it's ones that are around price point and affordability and things of that nature. So you can take a look at that and remove those or restructure them. You can take questions that are questions that you should type out or that they have to type out, and you can make them multiple choice. There's a bunch of different things that you can do to increase the amount of people that complete application forms while still being qualified to be on that call with you. So this is 3 different examples. They're really common examples of things that coaches are using. I would love to know below if this has been helpful to you, if you had any aha moments, and of course if you've got any of your own systems that you're using, different marketing systems, you run 5-day challenges, you have a lead magnet, and you want to bounce on any ideas around this, I'll help you in the comments. Just hit me down below and we can bounce there. But other than that, if you want the free Facebook ads course and you can see exactly how we work with these types of systems, then I'll drop that down below. If you want to know about the private coaching, how we work in close capacity to install one of the 36 ad systems directly into your coaching business and work closely with you, not just in getting it up and running, but in optimizing and scaling it and looking at data with you to this sort of level so that we can really optimize your systems for sales and not just for a pretty looking dashboard, then this is something that you can grab down below as well. Just go and grab the PDF. You don't have to book a call with us. That's absolutely fine. Other than that, all the usuals, YouTube, like, subscribe, and all that jazz, and I'll see you on the next video.